Hello, welcome to the Fishbowl Experiment. I'm Max. The Fishbowl Experiment is a podcast where unexpected conversations take place. Every episode, we'll have a different topic designed to inspire reflection and sharing between our host and the strangers they meet. Guests will have a bowl of questions that they will pull from. Everyone is welcome to sit with us and talk. Yes, even you. In today's episode, authenticity and being true to yourself is the focus. I'll talk to two friends speaking to their younger selves, an artist who can bark like a dog, and someone who strives to embrace bad art. I'm glad you joined us today. Enjoy. Well, hello. Thank you for sitting down. What's your guys' names?
I'm Lucy.
I'm Mel.
Mel, Lucy, nice to meet you guys. So we're doing what we call the Fishbowl Experiment. So we are out here in the open and we have a fishbowl full of questions for a theme, which today's theme is like identity and being true to yourself. So if you'd like to go ahead and, pull a question, go ahead. And what you got there?
What's one belief or value that shapes who you are today?
I think a belief that shapes a lot of what I do is that self-confidence and truly thinking that you deserve it is what gets you things, and that being shy never helped anybody ever. And I tell people that all the time.
Interesting.
Mine is that women don't owe you shit. And you can do whatever you want with your body, with your choices, with your words. So yeah.
Well, so I'm curious now that you guys say that, what kind of led you to get to that belief? So Lucy, what inspired that from you?
I was always a really big girls girl as a kid, and whenever a teacher would be like, I need big strong boys to come help me carry this, I'd be like, no, you need me. So I've just always had this belief that we don't need to divide ourselves. And also, I'm a very big advocate for abortion rights. So I watched a lot of films on both sides, and I just saw wait, women should be able to do what they want with their bodies.
I love that. I love that what you say about dividing yourself, not having to do that. I think that's really cool.
And we're both in the performing arts, and so I've been doing performing arts since I was in middle school. It's always been my passion, and there's always this expectation to be I'm not as good as everybody else, and just be humble about it. But if you believe that you deserve something and you believe that you're good enough to have a career in something like performing, you need to own that, or people aren't gonna see what you have to offer if you're shy about it.
I love that.
And it applies to the rest of your life too. If someone's bothering you or you want something from somebody, you have to go tell them and get it and believe that that's what's best for you. To be open about what you want.
Have you had any experiences where that's you've put that in action?
Usually it's when my friends are complaining about something and I'm walk up to them and say, this is what I want, this, and this. And I think it's helped me a lot in school, because anytime a teacher is bothering me or not giving me what I need, I just say, that doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Help me out.
I love that. Hold them accountable.
Yeah, let's do one more.
Okay, you pick.
Yeah. If you could give advice to your younger self about identity, being true to yourself, what would it be?
I'd say don't be afraid to be your true self, and don't just be what you think you should be perceived as. I need to be the super hyper feminine person. No, you can be whatever the fuck you want to be.
I would tell myself that the archetypes in TV shows aren't real, and that you don't have to be one of those, and that people aren't just one of those in their life. Because I watched a lot of TV as a kid. I was really into fiction, and so I was always oh, well, that person's the nerdy character. This person's this character, and I was always through elementary, middle school, being well, I think I want to be this character. I think I want to be this, and it took me a long time to realize that real people aren't stock characters.
Was there a show that made you realize that, or a show that made you you thought maybe you wanted to go down that route?
So I was really into Ninja Turtles as a kid. And you know how the
Love
four
that.
brothers, they all have like their thing. It's like, this is the smart brother and this is the this brother. And so all the time I would, like, all of my friends, I'd be like, you're definitely a Donatello. Like, you're definitely a Donatello. And I kept switching which one I wanted to be. I was like, no, I think like I'm more of a this or a that. And then one day I was just like hanging out and I was like, why do I feel like I need to be one of the Ninja Turtles? Like, that's such a weird thing to believe about yourself, right? And I just realized how much of a weirdo I was being, and I stopped.
Yeah, that's super interesting because I think you're right. There's like this weird like pressure to like align yourself with just like a character or some like aesthetic. Maybe I think is what like a lot of people feel now.
Our
But I love what you
generation,
say
like, we were
about that.
watching like Disney Channel original movies.
Yeah.
The whole concept was, I'm not this type of person, and so I'm going to become this archetype.
Yeah.
And then there's also the archetype of the person who's like, guys, just be yourself. And that's the person I wanted to be, but that's also just a character.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're just like trying to be no character or no identifiable character. I like that. That's really interesting. Lucy, do you have any more thoughts on what you're saying?
I don't know. Like, sometimes it's fun to just like characterize yourself, but also just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. And also, something else I would tell my younger self is that you're allowed to like both boys and girls. Because when I was younger, I was like, which one do I pick? I don't know. I like both. But like, also Mel's helped me realize that like, no matter like my ratio of what I like more, I'm still who I am, and I don't need to have like a definite label on that.
I love that. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I'll let you guys get back on your day. Thank you for joining. Hello, thanks for sitting down. What's your name?
I'm Anna Sturgis, and it's nice to meet y'all.
Hi, Anna. Nice to meet you. I'm Max. I'll have you go ahead and pull a question out of the bowl.
Alright, coolio. Okay. What's a weird/unique talent you have? Where'd you learn it? Well, so this is a really like stupid one, I guess.
That's
but,
okay. I'd love to hear it.
Thank you. I can like accurately bark like a doll.
Really?
Yeah. I.
That's so fascinating. Wait, can I ask you to do it? Maybe you can give the backstory and then we'll get a demonstration maybe.
Okay, yeah, because it's low-key really loud. But me and my sister were just like goofing off, you know, whatever. And like for whatever reason, we started like instead of like fighting or whatever, we started like making animal sounds at each other. And so like I think like it just like she like went like rough and I just like went back at her.
And it was spot on?
Yeah, and like
Wow.
she kind of just like looked at me for like a solid 5 seconds. It's like, was that you? Because at the time we also had like a dog named Juliet, and then she was like, she was like, 1 + 1 is 2. What is this?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I would love to give a demonstration. However, it's also I feel like it's so loud to my
Well, that's okay. We won't
Thank
force you to
you,
give a
thank
presentation,
you.
but that is fascinating.
Thank
Like
you,
that's
thank you.
truly and I love. Has that ever come in handy? Have you ever used that for anything?
Okay, so I actually have. There, you know, like how they always say, like if someone's like weird, like if there's like a weird person bothering you, like if you're like downtown in a city. This guy kept following us and wouldn't leave us alone, and so my sister was like, if we act insane, he might just like stop following us. So I turned around and barked at him.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I mean, it really does come in handy to have that.
And it definitely worked, you know?
Yeah, I would be very scared if someone was barking like a
Yeah.
dog at me. I mean, I love that though. That's so fascinating.
Thank you. And I can't believe I just admitted that to the entire
That's okay.
thing.
That's what's so fun about the fishbowl. If
agree.
you'd like, we can ask another question as well.
Okay, sure.
All right, perfect.
Silly little talents. What's the most important lesson you've learned about self-expression? I would say, like, you really have to, like, accept yourself before you try to present yourself to someone else. And you have, like, I feel like that's, like, just repeating what self-expression is. But I feel like it's important to do a lot of, like, for lack of a better word, like, soul-searching. Before, like, because I feel like once you do that, it gives you, like, a lot of confidence in yourself, and then you can start to, like, branch off from there, like, oh, I like to do this, so I'm gonna incorporate it, like, into my outfit like this, you know, like, I don't know, that's just, like, I feel like that's the most important thing, is, like, figure out who you are before you try to tell other people, you know?
Like, figure out what self you are expressing.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
Yeah, kind of express it to yourself before you try and express it to others. I think that's really important. I like that you have that perspective on it. How does that, like, how does that show up in your, like, day-to-day, like, your identity?
Well, I think it shows up a lot in, like, I feel like the actions I do, because I feel like I have, like, kind of like I feel like I have a pretty good sense of self and, like, who I am and, like, what I want to, like, do when I grow up, and, like, so, like, the things I do, like, I'm, like, the, you know, president of the medical fraternity. I like to do art, so I'm involved with the art club, and I'm, like, those are two things I love to do, and so I put, like, action towards them, and I feel like people know me, like, for some of those things, so I feel like that's, like, one way it's incorporated, just like the actions I do. But another way is, I know I don't have exciting makeup on right now, but I like to do, like, a lot of cool, like, graphic eyeliners, and, like, just depending on how I feel. So, like, I feel like that's an expression of how I feel, and, you know, I like to match on themes and stuff. So.
I love that. So you're, like, a very artistic person then.
Yeah.
It's kind of what and that's how you express that. I love that.
It's like a little outlet. I love it.
Yeah. I love referring to it as an outlet. Yeah. How does that, like, how do you, like, view it being an outlet? Like,
yeah, I feel like I view it being an outlet just because I have, like, a lot of stress going on in my life, like double major, like all these classes I have to do, and then there's, like, I, like, work on top of it, and so I feel like I never have time to do things that I really love, except whenever I get these, like, brief little moments to, you know, like, add color to my makeup, to, like, paint something, to sketch something, and, like, I feel like it just really helps me, like, ground my self-image, if that makes sense. Like, I'm like, yes, I have all these obligations, but they don't, like, exactly make me who I am. I'm the things I love, and the, like, things of me too, you know?
I love
so,
that. Thank you very much for
I
sharing,
appreciate
and thanks
it.
for joining us today, Anna.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Anna signing off.
Hi, thanks for joining. What's your name?
I'm Candace Carr.
Candace, nice to meet you. I'm Max. If you'd like to, I'll have you go ahead and pull.
Alrighty. Let's give it a good little shuffle. This one's calling me.
All right, and go ahead and read it off for us.
Oh man. What's one part of yourself that you fought to protect? Oh man. That childhood kind of, like, really bubbly sense of, like, really, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, childishness. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Childishness is the best way I can describe it. I was the youngest in my family. It's only two of us, but since I was, you know, gender roles in a black household, the girl, like, grows up quicker. But I was like, no, I'm at my heart, at my core, I'm an annoying younger sibling. I tend to be the mom friend of all my friends. I always take that leadership role, but I really fight to protect that really goofy, childish, not taking stuff seriously, although a lot of people know me for being, like, a deeply serious person. So I really fight to protect her, because she just wants to bounce around and, like, dance anywhere and walk around and make weird noises, because why not?
I love that. Yeah, I relate so much to being the youngest, because I'm also a younger sibling.
Nice.
So I can relate to that. But I'm curious, like, how, because I love that you're, like, fighting to, like, protect your childishness. Like, how do you kind of fight for that?
sometimes you just have to like literally make even a serious situation, you have to force it to be funny. Everybody's expectation is like if something, not all moments of trial need to be deeply serious and we need to be stoic and push through our feelings. Like I'm gonna make a bad joke and I know it's gonna break the tension. It's not clearly what we want to hear right now, but I know it's what everybody needs. So I'm gonna make a really silly joke that's like kind of poorly timed. It's always gonna be respectful. I'm not gonna do anything too crazy, but I'm always gonna just be like, I don't know, just a really bad pun. Like if I could throw it in there. I couldn't think of one off the dome, but
that's okay.
That's the goal.
I love that. Yeah. Is there like any specific instance that like sticks out to you of like just like needing and like fighting for it in that way?
Ooh. If you've seen New Girl,
yeah,
there is a character in there, Nick Miller, and when things are awkward, he like moonwalks out of the frame. So I can't think of a specific scene, but I do a lot of moonwalking out of the frame, the imaginary frame.
That's so whimsical.
Right? And it's always really bad. I can actually moonwalk decently well, but I have to really just slow and really, really bad.
Maybe after this, we might have to ask you to show us a demonstration of your moonwalk.
I think I can do it better than Nick Miller, probably.
Ooh, okay.
That's crazy. I'm gonna get called out for that.
I love that. Well, if you'd like to answer another question,
I would love to. I was
totally
looking
free
like.
to, yeah.
All right, let's see. These questions are really good.
Thank you.
Okay. Ooh. What's a nickname you've had or wish you had? Shoot. Well, my name's Candace, so you're gonna get all the variations of Candy, Candyland, Candy Girl. And I always got those from like older people in my life. So when I hear like other people, like people my age, I'm like, don't do that. You've not earned that. But I think it really just depends generation on generation. So like older folks in my life, they give me a lot of like Candy, Candyland. My current friends, I wasn't a super big nickname person either, and I always wanted to be because Candace Carr is such a first and last name.
It rolls off the tongue.
It rolls off the tongue.
It's one of those names you have to say the first and
you gotta
last
say
name.
both.
Yeah.
And so nicknames get a little tricky. I have my roommates lovingly call me like Cam Bam, and I did not know like why I would love that so much. But yeah, I never wanted like. Yeah, I couldn't think of a nickname I wanted. Like, not like Speed or nothing. I always got like little short nicknames, like, because I'm like 5'1". I've always been short. I was 4'11" for like 3.5 years.
I mean, here we're relatively
but
similar height.
Y'all, I'm 5'1".
Or maybe I'm really short. The camera won't know.
Hey, we'll never know. Another one, like a loving nickname I got from my mom, and she to this day uses variations of it. It's like a cascading web of just, she took the root word and just went crazy with it. When I was really little, when I was like probably less than 6 months, I would like make chipmunk noises because I was just like a little baby just making noises. And so she would always call me Chippy. And so she would just like, so it's Chip, Chippy, Chippy Mouse, Chippy Bear. It's just, she just keeps going.
That's very sweet.
And I will just she finds emojis that kind of correlate with it. So she'll just like, Chippy Bear is her I don't know why but it's just only she can do that and call me that. So yeah, those are some nicknames I think of.
I love that. That's so fun.
This one. Oh, I have two. Oh, it's one. Oh, it was two. Whew. This is a question. Have you ever had to unlearn something about yourself? What was it? Oh man. There's a Mary Oliver poem. I don't want to butcher it, but it's something along the lines like, you don't have to be good.
Wild geese.
Wild geese.
Yeah.
Oh, and that one, I'm at my core, I'm such a perfectionist. Comes with the academic superiority. I want to be really good at school. I wanted to be good at everything I was a part of. I really wanted to be the best in a lot of spaces, and it really messed up my confidence. So having to unlearn that, like, you do not have to, like, are you enjoying what you're doing? Like, genuinely? And I was realizing that all the stuff I was trying to compete and be the best for, I was not enjoying. When I finally got to a place of like, I can make bad art. I can make really kind of terrible little songs, write kind of really, shitty poems. But I'm glad I made it for the sake of making it, not because I want to submit it in a contest or something, but I'm happy to be doing the thing. I'm happy to be trying and being seen, trying and failing. Oh my God. I hate it. Like, I'm with the perfectionist. I want to be seen like I have literally all my shit together. But I think last year I said it out loud in like January, and it became the year of being seen trying and failing. So I would just be like making little just blurbs. I'm leaving my keys. I left my wallet in another state. Just like little stuff. And it began to humanize me, and my friends around me be able to like kind of took me off a pedestal because I feel like I placed myself there. I was unwillingly placed there. So being able to, I don't have to be good. I can actually be really bad at some things, but if I'm enjoying it, it's cool. And then like being seen trying and failing, oh my God, just it makes life so much easier.
Yeah, and I love you saying that about like being seen, failing, and like intentionally making bad art. I think
because why not?
I agree. I think that's like such a freeing thing to be able to do that. I'm also curious, like, you know, this is like a great thing you've unlearned, and you've like, I can tell you've really thought about it. I'm curious what, like, if you feel like sharing, what kind of kicked off like you pondering this and like the process of unlearning that?
Yeah, I had a really rough junior year, just kind of like mentally. I was stretching myself way too thin, and I remember exactly where I was when I called my mom and said, I think, cause sometimes when I get these little epiphanies, I'm like, oh, this is a philosophy I need to just tell someone. So I called my mom. I was actually out, it was the blizzard we got at the beginning of January of last year. I live in a house, and the folks that actually come and are supposed to, you know, shovel our steps weren't there yet. I was like, well, I know our mail carrier, like, will not give us our mail if it's not, but also who wants to slip and fall, like. So I got outside, I layered up, put all my stuff on, and I got my shovel, and I was just like struggling so bad. I fell in the snow. I like was putting out, my hands were, I was just so freezing. And all I could do was just like, once again, like snot freezing on my face. It was just like deeply, deeply flawed moment. And there were people driving by just kind of like looking, and I was like, in my head at first I was like, I don't want them. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this thing because I have to. I put my little music on, had my headphones, and I was like, I want to be seen trying and failing. If someone sees me fall in the snow, I'm going to giggle about it because it actually is really funny. Like, it's a funny thing to watch people fall when they're okay in the end. I was fine. But literally shoveling my front steps because I realized that year that I had before in that junior year, I was just so unfair to myself where I was like, people can't see me sweat. They can't see me do this. And so when I was like, you know what? They can see me sweat and fall and shovel and try to sprinkle rock salt and fall again. And that kind of kick-started the way that the rest of that year went. And now we're in like 2025 where I'm like, wow, people know me as someone who is not this, can't see your sweat. She's like, oh yeah, that's Candace. She can get shit done. Like, I don't doubt it, but like, she's a little silly. She's a little goofy. And my friends now bug me. They're like, okay, phone, keys, wallet. Do you have your baseline things? Granted, if they need like legal writing, anything like of a high caliber to be done, they call me. But they also are the people that check, be like, do you have your phone, keys, and your wallet? So it's some really good levels to it. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying about like when you're talking about shoveling your snow, because it's like we always think those like big realizations and changes happen at like these just really important like cathartic moments, but it really is just like very mundane happenings when we're like coming to these big realizations and just being like, something's got to change. That's such a great answer, Candace.
Thanks, man.
So thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for listening to the Fishbowl Experiment. I'd like to extend a special thank you to my guests Lucy, Mel, Anna, and Candace. Conversations like these can require some vulnerability, and they did an amazing job. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.